It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a reason why the gents are sitting together today. It is a Health Tuesday officially, but let's get into some rather sobering numbers. Did you know that worldwide there are 1.4 million cases of prostate cancer? That was in 2020, and that number has only increased since then.
Yeah, now, in fact, prostate cancer is set to become the most prevalent cancer in South Africa by next year, with an estimated increase of 140% by 2030. Those are crazy numbers, G.
Absolutely terrifying. And here to tell us more about this topic is Garen Gazelle, CEO of the Men's Foundation, Salome Meyer from the Cancer Alliance, and Darren Robertson, who is currently battling prostate cancer. Thank you so much for being here. Darren, thank you so much for being brave enough to be here. We really do appreciate all of your presence, this early in the morning especially. I know it's doctors. Thank you so much.
Look, let's get straight into it because there's so much to discuss this morning. Salome, maybe I can chat to you just to establish things and establish exactly what we're talking about. Obviously, prostate cancer is amongst this discussion this morning, but what exactly is prostate cancer?
Yeah.
So prostate cancer is a cancer that particularly, yes, it's only men that get it. It is very much linked to hormones, but also one need to actually look at what is your genetic background. Okay. So, and I think that is quite important, that we actually need to educate our men and our boys from a very early age that you need to know your background in terms of your family history, but apart from that, you actually need to learn about the signs and symptoms of prostate cancer so that you can become aware. And that health-seeking behavior is something that we particularly need to install in our boys from a very young age. And that's fathers and mothers that have to do that.
Yeah, we're all part of the same ecosystem. It's amazing I use that term all the time now, but we're not alone in this. And I hope you don't feel alone in this, especially today. This is your tribe for today. I suppose ultimately, because it must feel quite strange talking about cancer with numbers and days dedicated to it and months dedicated to it when you have such a personal, deep connection to this. So first of all, how are you?
Absolutely. I'm pretty good at the moment. The cancer journey it's like a roller coaster ride. Yeah. So it's an emotional roller coaster ride. You have your ups, you have your downs. But for the most part, I'd say right now I'm in a pretty good space. A couple of months ago, maybe not so much. But yeah.
How did that land for you?
So I was initially diagnosed in 2018. I went for my vitality health assessment, and my GP at the time actually wanted to check my PSA levels, which is your prostate-specific antigen.
Okay.
I was way too young, according to all the literature, and I asked if she was crazy. And we backwards and forwards a bit, and eventually we checked, and my PSA was elevated. Wasn't too bad. And long story short, eventually it was diagnosed that I had stage 3 Gleason index 8, which is quite aggressive prostate cancer with perineal, capsular, and lymphatic invasion at the time. So I then had a radical prostatectomy, which is a robotic surgery to have my prostate removed, which comes with its own set of side effects, if you will, and lifestyle changes. And then I was clear for probably about 3.5 years. And then my PSA started inching up, which should never happen because you don't have a prostate anymore. and then it got confirmed that I was in a relapse situation. And I've just literally finished radiation therapy. I'm undergoing hormone therapy. So it's been a journey. It's been a ride. It's been a ride.
Man.
Yeah, man, it's never easy, but it's great to see you out on the couch, obviously, and obviously having this conversation. I think just raising this awareness already is encouraging, I think, for a lot of youngsters, a lot of guys out there. And speaking of, Garen, you've got something incredible going on. You've got the Men's Foundation, right? You're doing some brilliant work, but exactly what is it that you guys are doing? Maybe we can educate Mzansi, because I'm sure this will help a lot of gents out there.
Absolutely. So the Men's Foundation was established initially under the Movember campaign in 2015, and it's important to note that obviously Movember is no longer running a dedicated campaign in South Africa since last year. So the funds that are raised aren't being spent in South Africa. But the men's health journey and the purpose for us to start this conversation about this narrative, and this important topic, we still need to continue the work that we're doing. We look at the statistics, we look at men's mental health, how many suicides we're suffering with per day. We look at prostate cancer, we look at men suffering in the space of being, abusers and perpetrators of gender-based violence. There's a need for us to start addressing men. So this is the work that we do as the Men's Foundation. We work with the Cancer Alliance to advocate for cost-effective treatment. Salome might be able to to cover and talk about the prostate cancer policy that's been in development with the National Department of Health that we've been a part of. And also we work on a global level, you know, advocating with the WHO to prioritise men's health, because men's health hasn't been prioritised. So also on a ground level, we've got these programs and to support men, not only from an awareness and education point of view, but also to get access to treatment and also ensuring that we get men to start participating and getting that early diagnosis if necessary.
I love that key word there, participating, be actively engaged. And I think I would imagine that so many of the problems and the solutions often don't seem to match, and you need to tackle it from that holistic point of view. So I love that approach. I think the bottom line here is that there is an opportunity for us to learn more about the signs, the symptoms, what we can do to be proactive, and of course walk that journey. So thank you once again for all of you for being here. We're going to sit down with this amazing panel a few more times this morning, and we'd love to get your perspective if you can weigh in on the conversation. 063 408 8863. We'd love to hear from you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and it's a Health Tuesday on another level. We are having an incredible conversation, and listen to these stats alone. In South Africa, prostate cancer affects 1 in 6 men, but perhaps more alarming is the fact that black African men have a 60% higher risk of developing prostate cancer. Now, we're going to be carrying on our discussion. We've got a men's health and prostate cancer topic this morning, and we've got a panel of exclusive guests. We've got Garen Gasal in the building, CEO of the Men's Foundation, Salome Meyer and Darren Robertson, who is also currently battling prostate cancer. And earlier on, we were having an incredible conversation about this, establishing what everything is about, but we're going to carry on and dive deeper into what it all means.
There are so many terrifying numbers and statistics going around right now. Maybe, Salome, you can put us in the picture. An increase of 140% over the last 2 years feels incredible. 1 in 6 is a very sobering. Why, within the black male population, is the number as high as it is, and why is the number on the increase? Did COVID play a role in that in terms of not seeking help? What is manifesting in these rather terrifying numbers?
So I think one needs to particularly say that prostate cancer is very high amongst black men. I mean, you find that globally. So that is a very fact that we actually need to realize. And in South Africa, the same happens.
Because that means you need heightened checks, you need heightened awareness in that space. Yeah.
Absolutely, and what we really need to install is that health-seeking behaviour. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken about it earlier. Men don't actually go for health checkups because it's not what they want to do. They didn't grow up that way. And, you know, in a way, we also need to say men want to protect their families and therefore, you know, let the family go and do what they have to do. I'll be the last...
I'll isolate myself.
I will be the last one to go. And in fact, that's actually not what we should do. So the COVID, yes, COVID has played a major role in terms of men not going for their checkups. But I think if we also have to look at what has happened in the breast cancer space. So over the last 20 years, we've all gone pink for breast cancer.
Awareness,
you know, pink tongue and the awareness is, you know. So I think that's what we need to start doing for prostate cancer is that we need to, with the increased awareness, you will have increased screening and therefore the numbers will go up. So it's not necessarily a matter of that, yes, the numbers are increasing, but the numbers are increasing with the men coming forward for their screenings. And what is very important is that the earlier you are screened and diagnosed, the better your chances for survival.
Absolutely.
And here's the best example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, building on what you're saying now, and I think it's so pertinent when you mention our gents don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to necessarily deal with their issues because we're strong. We can eat concrete and deal with it. You know what I mean? That's the narrative we were brought up with. Darren, for you, man, I mean, we're talking about something you mentioned earlier where you said, why am I doing this screening? I'm so young. Let's just try it anyway. Yeah. And it's something that I hear sounding more common and common of late. It's like younger people are becoming more affected. Was this even something you were aware of before you went to the doctor?
Had you been for a prostate?
Yeah, was it a conversation you were having with friends at all?
No, not at all. I was like under the impression it's something you do in your 50s or like mid to late 50s maybe. Like, no, I thought she was crazy. Like, I thought she was absolutely nuts. However, what my urologist at the time said to me is that if I'd come 18 months later, it would have been too late.
Yeah.
They would have said to me, you know, go and enjoy the time with your family and there's nothing we can do for you. So that's frightening.
And thinking about it in retrospect, I mean, if you had mates that were talking about this, being more conscious about the conversation, you think it would have helped?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to create awareness, I've been doing quite a bit of talking and talking to my clients. I'm a financial planner by profession, but talking to my clients, talking to friends, and a lot of guys have subsequently gone and gotten tested. They've gone to my urologist, which has been quite good for him. But they've gone and they've got checked out, and that's something that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have spoken. But men don't talk. Men are terrible at talking. They don't, you know, they'll stand at the bar and they'll talk about cricket, rugby, who won Miss South Africa, but they won't talk about prostate cancer or testicular cancer or colon cancer or petrol, diesel, you know, and those types of things. So
no, I think what you're doing
skew.
exactly by taking the edge off and just bringing it down to a base level is exactly how we need to have this conversation. But it's a two-way flow. You said something earlier about the fact that it's not necessarily just about asking for help, but being receptive for that. And we need those structures around us, gents, to be asking, are you okay? Have you done this check? Where are you? Does your son know how to do this check and talk about this? Do you have the language? That's what this promotion is all about in our health segment today, and you can be a part of this voice. 063-408-8863. Please drop us a voice note. We'd love to hear from you.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our focus on men's health this November. Now, raising awareness about cancer and early detection dramatically increases the odds of fully recovering from cancers such as prostate cancer and can save lives. We have living proof. Our panel, Darren Gazelle, CEO of the Men's Foundation, Salome Meyer, and Darren Robertson, who is currently battling prostate cancer, are still with us as we wrap up our conversation. Darren, I'm sorry that I'm kind of oversimplifying your entire life in a sentence every time I
No, not at all.
You. But I think it's really important that people do hear you speak in this way. So thank you so much for doing that. We've had Anonymous weigh in with a voice note that I'm hoping, Salome, you've got a very emphatic answer for, but let's hear what Anonymous had to say.
Morning. I have a question, but my question is not specifically about prostate cancer. Okay. So I have this small, I don't know, can I call it a small ball inside my scrotum? So I have two normal balls, but then I have another small ball inside my scrotum. I just want to know what could be the reason for that. What could be the reason for me to have that small ball inside my scrotum?
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing, Anonymous. I mean, every alarm bell in my head is going off right now. We are not doctors. I'm going to prefix this right now, but Salome, I think you're probably most best positioned to be able to answer.
I think, first of all, well done for spotting that there's something not normal.
Not right, yeah.
And that is the key. You live with your body. You need to know what is the normal and what is not normal. And when you spot something that is not normal, you need to take yourself to a healthcare professional, whether that be your GP, whether that be your local clinic. Take yourself to the doctor, because that's the person you need to consult.
And be clear about what has happened and your anxieties. There's a little voice that goes off with good reason. So, Anonymous, please go and speak to a doctor today, bottom line. It's so difficult to look at this because I'm realizing this is such a dynamic situation, and I was saying earlier that often the solution and the problem don't seem to match when it comes to men's health. So maybe let's start with that, asking for help. What is the first step that men should be doing in looking after ourselves, seeing as we've got this platform to drive that awareness? What is the message?
It's quite simply to start the conversation. You know, we need to destigmatize men's health, you know, whether it be prostate cancer, men's mental health, depression, suicide prevention, testicular cancer. You know, on the one hand, we need to start being more aware, you know, challenging our fears of facing our mortality. You know, we often refer to toxic masculinity, you know, and we kind of throw out masculinity and the fact that being masculine, we need to be strong, we need to be powerful. And we often fear challenging that masculinity if we consider that, if something is not okay. But once we start to normalize the conversation, you know, we talk about men's mental health, and it's one of those topics that come up when we lose somebody prominent. You know, we lost Ricky Rick, we lost Patrick Schreier this year.
Mansfield.
You know, and we don't have those conversations. And as Salome alluded to earlier, we need to have those conversations with our boys. You know, so normalizing this conversation about our health-seeking behaviors to remove the stigmas. You know, our dads never really spoke about their health issues, and this is where we're kind of going through this emotional evolution as men, especially in the age that we're in, because we've needed to check ourselves to go, hold on a second, these are real issues. You know, yes, on the one hand, men haven't prioritized their health issues. And likewise, we haven't had the support from a governmental and a global organization's perspective.
Societal, yeah.
So it's prioritizing men's health, but the most important thing for us to do that is to start that conversation. You know, you need to create that safe environment where someone can be open to being able to discuss it. You know, we talk about men being able to express themselves and why don't they express themselves? But if we need to create that safe environment, and if you cannot help with the answers, at least suggest to go and seek the help from the platforms and the doctors like we just did in the previous call.
Just start talking. Just very quickly, Darren, I'm going to ask you to save the world now in one sentence, my friend, seeing as you're beating this beast. And you are doing it, which is amazing. So please keep that energy going. But what's got you through to this point? What do you have to say to someone in your position?
So I think it carries on from what Garen was saying earlier. The support base of my family, my immediate family, my wife, my little 4-year-old daughter, Rebecca, my mom, my sisters, and then your immediate circle of friends. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then healthcare professionals. I think I've got a really good medical team. I speak to a cancer counsellor, who's almost like a life coach type scenario, which she really adds value. So I think all those different perspectives and the different support really plays a role. But what I do want to say further to what Garen was saying earlier is that a lot of people rely on men to put their hands up and go, I need help. Yeah. Whereas we should rather be checking in with our friends, our family, and saying, are you okay? You know, people all rely on somebody to put their hand up and say, why didn't they put their hand up? Whereas I think we should rather be checking in and going, you lost your job. Oh, you're right. How are you? Do you need anything? Versus just reactive and relying on you to put your hand up. I think that's where we seriously misguide, and I think that's where the narrative really needs to change.
Well, that's what's changing right now. So thank you so much. I did warn you I was a bit of a cry risk. We managed to make it through that one. Your story is inspirational, yes, but there is so much practical advice within that. So thank you so much to all of you for doing what you do every day. We really do appreciate it. And right now, I think it's not lost on us how painful this experience is, not only for those going through this cancer battle, but for those families and structures around them. So we are sending you nothing but love right now.